The U.S. horizon drifted silently through the darkness near Neptune's orbit. Commander Ethan Powell stood on the bridge, his eyes fixed on the strange object that had appeared on their scanners. It was a ship, but unlike any Earth vessel. "What do we know about it?" Powell asked, his voice calm despite the tension in the air. Officer Lisa Wright looked up from her station. "Nothing, sir. It's not responding to any of our signals, but it appears damaged." Powell nodded slowly. "Life signs." "Yes, sir," said Lisa, "but they're weak and fading." The commander took a deep breath. Protocol was clear. Unknown alien ships should be reported and observed from a distance until Earth Command sent instructions, but those life signs were fading fast. "Prepare a rescue team," Powell said. "I'll lead it myself." His second-in-command, Lieutenant Carlos Mendez, stepped forward. "Sir, with respect, we don't know what's on that ship. It could be dangerous. Or it could be people who need our help," Powell replied. "I won't let them die while we wait for orders." 30 minutes later, Powell floated through the alien ship alongside Dr. Olivia Grant and 3 security officers. The vessel's interior was bathed in dim blue light. The air was breathable, but had a strange metallic smell. "This way," Dr. Grant said, following readings on her medical scanner. "Life signs are stronger here." They found them in what appeared to be the ship's control room. 7 beings, humanoid but clearly not human. Their skin was pale with a bluish tint, and they had no hair. Where human ears would be, they had feather-like structures that trembled slightly as they breathed. One of the aliens saw the humans and tried to reach for what looked like a weapon. The movement caused it pain, and it fell back with a strange whistling cry. "We come to help," Powell said, keeping his hands visible. "Dr. Grant is a doctor." Dr. Grant approached slowly, her scanner held out. "Multiple injuries. This one has internal bleeding. They need medical attention immediately." The alien who had reached for the weapon made a series of clicks and whistles. "Lisa," Powell called over the comm. "We need you here. Bring the translation unit." Within minutes, Communications Officer Lisa Wright joined them. She held up a device that began recording and analyzing the alien sounds. "It will take time to build a translation," she explained, "but we can try simple communication." Powell nodded. "Tell them we want to help. Tell them we'll take them to our ship for medical care." Lisa tried several approaches with the device. The alien's feathery ears twitched and fluttered. They seemed agitated but too weak to resist when the rescue team carefully moved them onto stretchers. Back on the horizon, Dr. Grant worked tirelessly in the medical bay. The alien's blood was silver blue, and their organs were arranged differently, but the basic principles of trauma care still applied. "They're stabilizing," she told Powell after 6 hours of surgery. "I think they'll live." But it was close. Powell stood by one of the recovery beds, watching the alien's chest rise and fall. "Any progress on communication?" "Some," Lisa said from nearby. "They call themselves the Valtteri, and they're terrified of us." "Terrified? We saved them." Lisa nodded. "That's what confuses them. According to what little I've translated, they expected us to either kill them or hand them over." "Hand them over to whom?" "Something called the Dravic Empire. I gather they're at war." The next day, one of the Valtteri was strong enough to sit up. Its feathery ears spread wide as it looked at Powell. Through Lisa's translation device, its words came through broken but clear enough. "Why help enemies? Why save us? What do humans want?" Powell smiled gently. "You're not our enemies, and we want nothing. Helping those in need is what humans do." The Valtteri's ears flattened in what Lisa interpreted as disbelief. More clicking and whistling followed. "It says no species helps without reason," Lisa translated. "It thinks we have a trap." Powell shook his head. "No trap, just kindness." The Valtteri stared at him for a long time. Its ears twitched rapidly. Then it made a new sound, one Lisa hadn't heard before. "I think," she said slowly, "that might be what passes for crying in their species." 2 weeks passed. The Volturi recovered slowly in the medical bay of the U.S. horizon. They learned English quickly, their feathery ears twitching as they practiced new words. Commander Powell spent time with them each day, answering their endless questions about Earth and humans. One of the Volturi, who called himself Talon, seemed most curious. "Your people truly have no empire?" he asked Powell one morning. "You do not force other worlds to obey." Powell smiled. "We barely have other worlds. Just some small colonies on Mars and a few moons. And no, we don't force anyone to obey." Talon's ears fluttered in what the humans now recognized as confusion. The Dravik will not understand this. They only know power. As if summoned by the name, alarms blared throughout the ship. Powell rushed to the bridge. "Sir," Lieutenant Mendez said, his face pale, "there's a ship entering our solar system. It's massive." On the main screen, a dark shape appeared. It was at least 10 times larger than the horizon. Black metal plates covered its hull, with red lights glowing between them like veins of lava. "Incoming transmission," Lisa Wright called out. The screen changed to show a face. It looked almost like a human, but with gray skin and eyes that glowed red. Small metal devices were embedded in its temples and jaw. "I am Commander Zorax of the Dravik Empire," the being said. "You have taken our property. Return the Volturi criminals immediately." Powell stepped forward. "The Volturi are not property. They're under our protection now." Zorax's eyes narrowed. "Protection? Your species is unknown to us. Your technology is primitive. You have 1 Earth day to surrender the fugitives, or we will take them by force." The screen went dark. "Send a message to Earth Defense Command," Powell ordered. "We need to speak with Admiral Clark immediately." Hours later, Powell sat in a conference room on Earth. Admiral Ryan Clark, a stern man with gray hair, listened as Powell explained the situation. "So these Volturi," Clark said, "what exactly did they do to anger the Dravik?" "They're scientists," Powell replied. "Dr. Grant discovered that yesterday. They refused to create weapons for the Dravik, biological weapons that would have killed millions." Clark nodded slowly. "And now this Commander Zorax wants them back." "Yes, sir. And he doesn't seem like the type to take no for an answer." The door opened, and Dr. Grant entered with Talon. "Admiral," she said, "Talon has something you should hear." The Volturi stepped forward, his ears flat against his head in what they now knew was a sign of fear. "The Dravik have conquered 12 star systems," Talon said. "They destroy anyone who stands against them. Our people tried to fight, but we failed. These scientists, my friends and I, were the last hope. We were told to make a virus that would kill enemy species but leave Dravik alive. And you refused," Clark said. "Yes, we escaped with our research. If the Dravik get it, they will find someone else to finish our work." Clark looked at Powell. "The Security Council is meeting in an hour. This is beyond your pay grade now, Commander." The council meeting was tense. Some argued for surrendering the Volturi to avoid war. Others insisted Earth should stand firm. "These aliens are not our problem," said one general. "The Dravik clearly outmatch us. We should hand over the refugees." Engineer Keith Summers, who had been studying the Volturi ship, spoke up. "Their technology could help us. I've been working with Talon. Their shield designs are amazing." "Even so," another council member said, "can we risk Earth for 7 aliens?" Admiral Clark stood. "The question isn't whether we can afford to help them. It's whether we can afford not to. If we surrender people seeking asylum to their executioners, what does that make us?" The debate raged for hours. Finally, Earth's president made the decision. "Tell Commander Zorax that Earth grants sanctuary to the Volturi. They are under our protection. And establish a quarantine zone around Earth. Any Dravik ship that crosses it will be considered hostile." The message was sent. The response came quickly. "You have 30 Earth days," Zorax said, his red eyes burning with rage. "Surrender the Volturi, or we will reduce your world to ash. Earth had 30 days to prepare for war. Ships and weapons that normally took years to build were rushed into production. Soldiers trained day and night. Everyone knew they were outmatched by Dravik technology, but they refused to give up. Commander Powell worked closely with Talon at the Earth Defense Command Center. The Volteri scientist had become his friend over the past weeks. "Your shield designs are helping," Powell said it as they looked over the plans for Earth's defense grid. "Engineer Summers thinks we can adapt them to cover our major cities." Talon's ears drooped. "It will not be enough. The Dravik weapons can break through eventually. Then we'll just have to be smarter than them," Powell replied with a smile. In the medical lab nearby, Dr. Grant made an interesting discovery. She had been studying Volteri biology and found something unusual in their brain scans. "Look at this," she said to Powell when he visited. She pointed to a glowing area on the screen. "This part of their brain is similar to our limbic system, but much more developed. It allows them to form mental connections with each other." "Like telepathy?" Powell asked. "Not exactly. More like empathy, but stronger. They can sense each other's emotions across distances." Talon, who had come with Powell, fluttered his ears nervously. "It is nothing special. All Volteri have this ability." Dr. Grant looked at him with excitement. "But that's not all. Your brains can adapt to form similar connections with other species. In theory, you could connect with humans." Talon stepped back, looking alarmed. "We do not do this. It is forbidden." "Why?" Powell asked gently. "Long ago, our ancestors used this ability to understand other species. But the Dravik saw it as a threat. They hunted those with the strongest abilities. We learned to hide them." While the scientists worked, Intelligence Officer Maya Daniels gathered information about the Dravik. She spoke with the Volteri and searched through the data from their ship. "The Dravik rule through fear," she reported to Admiral Clark. "They conquer a world, take its resources, and force its people to serve them. Any resistance is crushed instantly. And no one fights back." Clark asked. "Some try, but they always lose. The Dravik are too powerful." Videos of the Volteri began to spread across Earth. People saw how they helped in the preparations, sharing their knowledge freely. One video showed a young Volteri playing with human children, teaching them games from his world. A movement began. Families offered their homes to the Volteri guests. Schools invited them to speak. Gifts and letters poured in from around the world. Ilara, the oldest of the Volteri, was amazed. "Why do your people care about us? We bring only danger to Earth." "Because that's what humans do," Powell said. "When someone needs help, we help." On the 20th day, the Volteri asked to speak to Earth's leaders. They gathered in a conference room at Defense Command. "We wish to share something," Ilara said. Her voice was soft, but everyone listened closely. "Our people have hidden our true abilities for generations out of fear. But now, seeing your courage, we will hide no longer." She explained that the Volteri's empathic abilities were stronger than they had admitted. With training, they could project feelings to others, even to the Dravik. "We can make them feel what we feel," she said. "Perhaps even make them understand compassion." Dr. Grant's eyes widened. Combined with human emotional capacity, that could be powerful. Humans feel emotions very strongly compared to most species. "It is dangerous," Talon warned. "The connection goes both ways. You would feel some of what the Dravik feel too, their anger, their cruelty." Powell nodded slowly. "But we'll feel it together. And that makes all the difference." They began training immediately. Small groups of humans and Volteri practiced forming empathic links. At first, it was difficult and painful. Human emotions were overwhelming to the Volteri. But day by day, they grew stronger together. On the 25th day, they received the news. The Dravik weren't waiting the full 30 days. They had attacked an Earth research station on Europa. The war had begun. The attack on Europa came without warning. Lieutenant Peter Collins was in charge of the research outpost when the Dravik ship appeared. There were 30 scientists and 10 security officers under his command. None of them were ready for war. "Everyone to the escape pods now," Collins shouted as the first explosions rocked the building. The air grew thin as walls cracked under the assault. Dr. Susan Lee, one of the senior researchers, looked up from her computer. "The data. We can't leave it." Collins rushed to her side. "Copy what you can in the next 2 minutes. Then we go. No arguments." The Dravik ship fired again. Part of the ceiling collapsed. Collins pushed 3 scientists toward the escape corridor while checking his tablet. 25 people had already reached the pods. 8 were still in the building, including him and Dr. Lee. "Time's up," he told her. "We need to move." They ran through shaking hallways. Another blast hit, and Collins was thrown against a wall. Pain shot through his leg. It was broken, he could tell. "Go on," he told the others. "I'll catch up." Dr. Lee hesitated. "We won't leave you." "I'll be right behind you," Collins lied. "Someone needs to make sure the pods launch properly." The scientists reluctantly continued toward the escape area. Once they were gone, Collins dragged himself to the control room. His leg left a trail of blood on the floor. He reached the launch controls and activated all pods. On the screen, he watched the small vessels shoot away from the station, racing toward Mars where help waited. The Dravik ship turned to follow the pods. Collins knew what he had to do. He activated the station's small defense cannons and fired at the Dravik ship. It wasn't enough to cause serious damage, but it got their attention. The enemy ship turned back toward the station. Collins smiled as he saw the escape pods disappear into the distance. The Dravik fired one last blast, and everything went dark. News of the Europa attack reached Earth quickly. So did stories of Lieutenant Collins' sacrifice. All 39 other people from the station survived because of him. Commander Powell stood with Talon as they watched the report. "That's the second attack in 3 days," Powell said. "They're not waiting for their own deadline." "The Dravik do not understand what he did," Talon said quietly. "In their culture, no one would die for others, especially not for people of lower rank. That's the difference between them and us," Powell replied. Later that day, Admiral Clark called an emergency meeting. Representatives from Earth's major nations gathered with military leaders and the Volteri. "The Dravik are testing our defenses," Clark said. "They're attacking small outposts first. Soon they'll hit larger targets." "We've had a small success," Engineer Summers reported. "A Dravik scout ship approached our defense grid near Mars yesterday. The shields we developed with Volteri technology worked." The ship retreated. This brought a moment of hope to the room, but it didn't last long. "One scout ship is nothing," General Martinez said. "Their main fleet has 30 warships." Ilara, the eldest Volteri, stepped forward. Her feathery ears were fully extended, showing what humans now recognized as determination. "There is something we haven't told you," she said. "Our empathic abilities are stronger than what we've shown. For generations, we've suppressed them because the Dravik fear them so much." "What exactly can you do?" Admiral Clark asked. "With training, we can project emotions to others. We can make them feel what we feel." Dr. Grant joined the conversation. "I've been studying this. The Volteri empathic centers are compatible with human brains. If we work together, we might be able to amplify the effect." "You want to make the Dravik feel sad," General Martinez scoffed. "How will that help against their weapons?" "Not sad," Ilara said. "Compassion. Understanding. The Dravik Empire is built on fear and cruelty. Their soldiers are controlled through pain and threats. If they could feel something else, even for a moment." Powell understood. It would disrupt their entire command structure. "It's worth trying," Admiral Clark decided. "But we also need conventional defenses. The Dravik fleet is still 5 days away from Earth. That's how long we have to prepare." As the meeting ended, Talon approached Powell. There's something else you should know, the Volteri scientists said quietly. The Dravik leaders have implants in their brains. They block emotions like compassion and empathy. That's why they're so cruel. Can your empathic projection get past these implants? Alone, no. But with humans, Talon's ears fluttered with what Powell now recognized as hope. Human emotions are stronger than any we've encountered. Together, we might break through. Word spread quickly through hidden channels in space. Other species heard about the small planet that dared to stand against the Dravik. Most dismissed it as foolish. Earth would fall like all the others. But some wondered if this time might be different. 3 days after the Europa attack, a strange ship entered Earth's solar system. Unlike the black, angular Dravik vessels, this one was sleek and silver. It avoided the defense grid and sent a message directly to Earth Defense Command. "We are the Lorani," the message said. "We wish to speak with those who defy the Dravik." Admiral Clark ordered the ship escorted to Earth. When its doors opened, 3 tall beings stepped out. They had long necks and 4 arms each. Their skin shimmered with a metallic glow. "We have watched the Dravik destroy many worlds," their leader said. "We have hidden to survive. But your resistance gives us hope." The Lorani weren't alone. The next day, another ship arrived carrying the Kepler, a species of small, quick beings with 6 eyes and hands that could move faster than humans could see. They were experts in technology. A third ship brought the Mira, gentle giants with tough, bark-like skin. They were natural healers who could cure injuries that seemed fatal. All 3 species had suffered under Dravik rule. All had been afraid to fight back until now. "Why come to us?" Admiral Clark asked the alien leaders. "We're new to space travel. We don't have advanced weapons." The Lorani leader looked at the humans with all 4 of his arms crossed over his chest. "You have something stronger than weapons. You have kindness that expects nothing in return. This is unknown in our part of the galaxy." Powell watched as the alliance grew. The Lorani were master strategists who could predict enemy movements with amazing accuracy. The Kepler could build or fix almost anything. The Mira could heal wounds that would kill most beings. Together with humans and the Volteri, they began preparing for the Dravik attack. Engineer Summers worked day and night with the Kepler scientists, improving Earth's shields. The Dravik weapons target specific energy frequencies. A Kepler named Zix explained as his 6 eyes blinked in different patterns. "If we layer the shields with varying frequencies, they cannot break through as easily." Dr. Grant worked with the Mira healers, learning their techniques and teaching them human medicine. The Mira were amazed by human willingness to risk their own safety to save others. "In our culture, healers are protected at all costs," said Brute, the Mira leader. "But human doctors go into danger to help the wounded. This is new to us." Powell spent most of his time with the Lorani, planning defense strategies. The Lorani had studied Dravik tactics for centuries. "They always strike from above," explained the Lorani commander, whose name sounded like whispered wind. "They believe it shows their superiority. We can use this against them." What surprised the alien allies most was how humans treated them. There was no ranking of species, no special privileges for those with better technology. All were given equal voice in planning meetings. In our previous alliances, the strongest always ruled. The Lorani told Powell, "Why do you not demand control?" "Because that's not an alliance," Powell replied. "That's just another empire." While the military prepared, the Volteri worked with human volunteers on their empathic linking. They started with small groups of 5, 3 humans and 2 Volteri. Each day, they added more people to the link. It was difficult at first. Human emotions overwhelmed the Volteri. Human minds struggled to process the alien way of thinking. But slowly, they found balance. "It's like learning a new language," said Maria Ruiz, one of the human volunteers. "Except you're learning to speak with feelings instead of words." By the 4th day, they could maintain a link between 50 people for 10 minutes. It wasn't enough. They needed hundreds, and they needed to hold the link longer. We're running out of time, Powell told Talon as they watched a training session. The Dravik fleet will reach Earth tomorrow. Talon's ears fluttered nervously. We need more time. As if in answer, the alarm sounded. The Dravik had arrived early. 30 massive warships appeared at the edge of the solar system. The battle for Earth was about to begin. The Dravik fleet moved into position around Earth. 30 warships, each large enough to hold thousands of soldiers. Their black hulls blocked out the stars. Red lights pulsed along their sides like angry veins. All defense systems at full power, Engineer Summers reported at the command center. The shield grid is holding. The first attack came from 3 Dravik ships targeting North America. Energy beams struck the shields, creating ripples of blue light across the sky. People watched from below, holding their breath. The shields held. They're testing us, said the Lorani commander. Next, they will try to find weak points. Commander Zorax's face appeared on the main screen. His red eyes glowed with anger. Your defenses are impressive, humans, but they will not last. Surrender the Valtteri now, and we may let some of your people live as servants. Admiral Clark stood tall before the screen. We will not surrender anyone under our protection. We offer you one chance to leave our system in peace. Zorax laughed. Peace. The Dravik do not make peace. We conquer. The screen went dark. Seconds later, 20 Dravik ships fired at once. The shield grid flickered but remained in place. Shields at 70%, Summers called out. The Kepler modifications are working. But the victory was short-lived. 3 Dravik ships broke formation and moved toward a small city in Australia. They concentrated their fire on one spot. The shields there began to fail. They're going after civilians, Hall said. They know we'll divert power to protect them. He was right. The shield over the city was failing. Thousands of people were at risk. Redirect power from military sectors, Admiral Clark ordered. But sir, a general protested, that will leave our weapon systems exposed. Those are our people down there. Do it. The shield strengthened over the city, but weakened over 3 military bases. The Dravik immediately attacked those locations. Powell led a team to evacuate the civilians from the Australian city. With him were Valtteri, Lorani, and Mira allies. They worked together, guiding people to underground shelters. A Dravik landing craft broke through the weakened shields and touched down near the evacuation zone. Soldiers poured out, firing weapons that turned the ground to glass. Get those people to safety, Powell shouted to his team. I'll hold them off. To his surprise, his alien allies refused to leave. We fight together, said a Lorani fighter, all 4 arms holding weapons. We protect together, added a Mira healer. The Dravik soldiers stopped in confusion when they saw different species fighting side by side. Their commander, a smaller version of Zorax with fewer implants, shouted orders in their harsh language. They don't understand why we're helping each other, Talon said as he took cover behind a fallen wall. The battle was fierce. Several humans and aliens fell. The Mira healers worked frantically to save them. Powell watched in awe as a Mira threw himself over a wounded human child, taking a Dravik blast that would have killed her. In the command center, Dr. Grant monitored the empathic link training. It's time, she told Admiral Clark. We can't wait any longer. 300 volunteers, humans, Valtteri, and some from the other species, gathered in a large circular room. They sat in a pattern suggested by Ilara, with Valtteri positioned between small groups of humans. Focus on kindness, Ilara instructed them. Think of moments when someone helped you with no benefit to themselves. Remember how it felt. The volunteers closed their eyes. The Valtteri's feathery ears extended fully, vibrating slightly. A gentle hum filled the room. On the battlefield, Powell felt something change. A warm sensation spread through his mind. Around him, he saw his alien allies pause, their faces showing the same feeling. Then he saw the Dravik soldiers stop firing. One by one, they lowered their weapons. Some removed their helmets, revealing confused expressions. The metal implants on their faces sparked and smoked. "What's happening?" Powell asked Talon. "The empathic wave," Talon whispered. "It's working. It's disrupting their control implants." Across Earth, the same scene played out. Dravik soldiers stopped fighting. Some began to help the people they had just been attacking. Others turned against their commanders. On the main Dravik ship, Commander Zorax felt the change. But his implants were stronger, designed to block all emotions. Still, for the first time in his life, he felt doubt. 2 days after the battle, ships began appearing at the edge of Earth's solar system. Not Dravik warships this time, but vessels of many shapes and sizes. They came from dozens of worlds that had lived under Dravik control. News had spread quickly through the galaxy. The Dravik Empire was falling. Commander Powell stood on the bridge of the U.S. horizon, watching the main screen as another group of ships arrived. Talon stood beside him, his feathery ears extended in what humans now recognized as joy. "I never thought I would see this day," Talon said softly. "So many species coming together without fear." The empathic wave had done more than anyone expected. When it disrupted the control implants, thousands of Dravik soldiers discovered they had been slaves to their commanders. Many had been taken as children from conquered worlds and forced to serve through pain and fear. Once free, they turned against their masters. Commander Zorax had not surrendered easily. Powell himself had led the boarding party onto the Dravik flagship. They found Zorax in the control room, surrounded by the bodies of officers he had killed when they stopped following his orders. "I offer you the same mercy you denied others," Powell had told him. "Surrender, and you will be treated fairly." Zorax had stared at Powell with his glowing red eyes. "Mercy is weakness," he had said, just before activating a device that destroyed his ship. Powell's team barely escaped in time. Now, 1 week later, representatives from over 30 alien species gathered in a large hall built specially for this meeting. Some were old allies of Earth like the Lorani, Kepler, and Mira. Others had just arrived, curious about the species that had broken the Dravik Empire. Admiral Clark opened the meeting. "Welcome to Earth. A month ago, we didn't know any of you existed. Today, we stand together as friends." A new group entered the hall. Tall beings with skin that looked like flowing water. They moved with a grace that seemed impossible. "The Galactic Council," Eladra whispered, her ears flat against her head in respect. "They rarely show themselves." The leader of the council spoke in a voice that seemed to come from everywhere at once. "For 10,000 years, we have watched the younger races. We have seen empires rise and fall. Always the pattern was the same: conquest, resistance, war, destruction. We did not interfere because we believed this cycle could not be broken." The being turned to look directly at the human delegation. "Until now, you humans did what no species has done before. When threatened, you did not just fight back. You showed compassion to your enemies. You offered mercy even in victory." Dr. Grant stepped forward. "Our empathic wave. Did you know it would work?" "We suspected," the council leader said. "But the true power came not from the technique, but from what you projected. Not hate, not fear, but kindness, understanding, the desire to help others without reward." The council leader moved to the center of the hall. "The empathic wave has created something new. A resonance field now exists in the solar system, enhancing feelings of cooperation and empathy. It will spread slowly to nearby stars." In the days that followed, a new alliance formed. Unlike the old empires built on power and fear, this one was based on mutual aid and respect. Each species contributed what they did best. Humans taught the art of compassion and self-sacrifice. The Volteri shared their empathic techniques. The Lorani offered their strategic thinking, the Kepler their technology, and the Mira their healing skills. 1 month after the battle, Commander Powell stood with Talon in a garden outside the New Alliance headquarters. Children from Earth played with young aliens, teaching each other games from their worlds. The Drevik thought weapons made them strong, Powell said. They never understood that the strongest force in the universe is kindness freely given. Talon's ears fluttered in agreement. That is why this day will be remembered across the stars. The day humanity proved kindness could shatter the galaxy more than any weapon. Above them, the stars seemed brighter somehow, as if the universe itself was watching and approving of what had begun on a small blue planet called Earth.